Hello everyone, thanks for having me here today. As Imran said, I'm Daniel from Junction. I've actually been working in the rail industry for about 8 years now, across a number of different areas, including performance, analysis and asset improvement. But as Imran said, Junction's been around for 6-7 years, but I've only been there for a few months. So a lot of this stuff is actually new for me too. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we did as part of the incubator with Alt Labs, but also as to kind of where that's led to us being now. So I'll just move to the next slide. Junction are a company that is focused solely on the rail industry. So we want to try to build solutions that help to both improve the passenger experience, reduce delays, and improve freight operations as well, which is often a somewhat overlooked element of the rail network. We take a sort of problem-driven approach. So we don't go in and say we've got a tool and here you go, this is going to fix all your problems. We spend a lot of time with our stakeholders really trying to understand exactly what their problems are and how we can help them. And that has resulted in a number of sort of solutions. I'm going to just talk you through a few of them here to give you an idea. So on the left-hand side, we've got our decision support tool. Now this is being used by a number of TOCs around the country in their control rooms. It's used effectively to monitor when disruption happens, what we can do to improve the passenger experience, i.e. reduce delays. And we do that by effectively taking in huge amounts of data and then looking to predict how basically what's going to happen and what the best decision to be made by control would be. The second one is sort of a follow-on to that. So the second one is a customer experience information system. So once all that disruption is happening and once those decisions are being made, it's really important that the passengers know that's happening so they can make decisions around it. One of the issues we've uncovered through our sort of consulting approach is that effectively the customer experience teams in the control rooms found it very difficult to sort of get hold of that data all in one place when disruption happened, and basically it meant the passengers weren't receiving what they need to receive as and when they can. And I think someone earlier on mentioned that's one of the biggest bugbears for passengers at the moment. This system brings it all together and allows them to quickly get that information out to exactly who needs to be. The third one there, Orbin, is the one I'm going to talk a little bit more about. So Orbin was the product that we developed as part of the TFW incubator. Orbin is, well, effectively, before we get onto what Orbin was, as part of our sort of research process, we spoke to a number of stakeholders, particularly passengers and those who were disabled, and particularly those with autism. And we uncovered that many of them felt that despite the fact that they would occasionally use the train services, it was not an enjoyable experience for them, put them off, and it became an even bigger problem during COVID. So we want to try and tackle that. What we've developed then, Orbin, is a journey planner and a sort of personal assistant application that brings together, again, multiple data sources into a really easy to use user interface that allows them to sort of adapt their journey both beforehand and during. So for example, if you don't want to be in places with large crowds, you can tailor your journey and say, I don't want that, and it will effectively provide you a journey that is different to the one you usually would. Now obviously we'll say that might take 5 minutes longer, but maybe that's worth it to that individual. And it'll also provide the sort of information we have about accessibility and kind of make that experience a lot more enjoyable for them. As part of that process, we worked with TFW and Alt Labs, who were fantastic, and as a consequence of it, not only were we able to implement this for TFW, but we've actually implemented this for TfL as well. So, in terms of where we are now, as I said, Orbin has been released for TFW and TfL, but again, thanks to the sort of introductions that we received as part of this project, we actually worked on other projects with TFW. So we worked on a consultancy project with the control room, where we got to look through the various tools they have and advise as to how they could be improved to improve operations. But more generally now, we're focusing a lot on the sort of performance and data analytics side of things. So for example, we're now working with Network Rail on a timetable validation project. So we're going to use real-time, to-the-second granular data to validate, is the timetable working, and can we make it better to improve performance and reduce delays. And then the final one I just want to talk a bit about here is the key one I think that I want to get across today is the business change side of things. So it's great to see all these wonderful, exciting tools, and it's a lot of hard work, but in my experience in the rail industry, the hardest thing to do isn't actually make a difference. It's a industry that is somewhat archaic, it needs a lot of support, and we're going to try to build an offering that allows people to effectively build a change program around these tools so that we actually see the benefits from it on a larger scale. And yes, so final thing I just want to say is what we're going to do next is we understand that GBR's sort of trajectory is to bring together Network Rail and the train operating companies into one sort of vision. So our solutions are not going to be sort of just here's this for you, TOC, here's this for you, Network Rail. We're going to try to look at it as a whole. And then the final thing is we're going to continue this problem-driven approach. So we've developed a number of sort of problem statements, and rather than go around and say, we can fix this problem for you, we'll let the industry decide and make sure that we can adapt our solutions to those problems. That's it from me today. Thank you very much for having me. If you'd like to have a chat, I'll be on the stalls out there.